Hey everyone, welcome back to Northside Baseball. Ethan and Brandon here to discuss more Cubs news, rumors, spring training stuff, everything that's happening in the Cubs world. And one of the more minor stories, but one that could have an impact on the 2025 season, I think is worth highlighting, is that the Cubs have re-signed Yency Almonte to a one-year deal. It's a minor league deal for the 2025 season. Obviously, the Cubs acquired him in that Michael Busch trade with the Dodgers last year, but after they DFA'd him due to shoulder surgery, he's now back on a non-roster contract. So just wanted to gather your thoughts, Ethan. What do you think about Yency Almonte being back?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to see Yency Almonte back, and look, we're giving him another chance. He did okay in the 2024. We didn't see a lot of him in 2024, right? So it's hard to make a absolute decision on how he's going to be. My speculative answer is that in 2025, what's going to happen is he's probably going to be, if he's brought up into the majors at all, he's going to be, another relief pitcher if, an injury happens. And what we saw in last year is he was skilled. I'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
Do I think that he's as skilled as some of our other relief pitchers? Absolutely not. He's been in the MLB since 2018, but I think he has a long way to go still. And he's still coming off of it. He's coming off of an injury, which also worries me a lot, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to the pitchers in Chicago, in Wrigley Field. But I have a whole nother slew of things on that. Brandon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different angles you could approach this from. I've seen some people on social media saying this is just sort of like a sunk cost fallacy. Obviously the trade with the Dodgers was effectively Michael Busch for two really good prospects. Jackson Ferris looks really good in spring training for the Dodgers right now. And the Cubs are just trying to get extra value out of that trade. Maybe I think this is a very Jed Hoyer type move, just more relief depth, especially for a guy that they know well. Even though he was hurt for a lot of 2024, they still spent the whole year with him. They helped him with rehab, they helped him with his pitch mix and stuff. And this is a guy they know. It's worth pointing out that yes, he only threw 16 innings or whatever it was last year before that shoulder surgery knocked him out for the rest of the season, but he had a 3.45 ERA, so he was reasonably effective. And if you go to Statcast or Baseball Savant and you break down his pitches, his sweeper is still one of the best sliders in all of baseball. It's incredibly effective. It generates incredibly soft contacts and a lot of whiffs. And his four-seam fastball was actually as effective, excuse me, as it's ever been in his career, even though he turned 30 years old last year. And he'll be playing most of the season as a 31-year-old. So the Cubs clearly see something in him. Again, I think that him contributing a lot probably means that something went wrong along the way in the bullpen this year, just given the amount of depth the Cubs have added with Ryan Presley and Ryan Brazier and all these other guys this offseason. But I've seen people get upset about this move. There's no reason to get upset. Yeah, Yency Almonte wasn't the best reliever in the world last year, but he's still a reasonable depth arm to have. And I think this is just a good move by the Cubs to just have someone they know in the building.
Again, the other thing you have to remember is he was new to the Cubs back in 2024. You still have to
Yeah.
get you have to get your I'm trying to think of like the analogy to make here. You have to get your groove with the team. And being
Mhm.
so new with the Cubs, and I'm going to, put the time machine in here a little bit. We had so many injuries with our pitchers. You're going in fresh to the team. He barely had any time to kind of, I think, mesh with the team in general. And he did have, in the eighth and ninth inning, he did have some of the, best saving pitches probably of our season. We did not, I'm just going to say it. Some of our games were not games I want to look back upon. There were other times where he completely fell off the rails. You could say that about any pitcher when they first come to a team and, you're the new kid on the block. So here's what I'll say to kind of end my thoughts on Yency Almonte. He's still the new kid on the block. This surgery thing was kind of a fluke, I'd like to say. And I'm going to keep an open mind in 2025. Brandon, I'd like to hear your ending thoughts, and we would also love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, I think my closing statement on this is just look at Yency Almonte's strikeout numbers throughout his career, and then look at what he did with the Cubs last year, and that brief sample size. He's been striking out 8, 9 guys per 9 innings, so about a guy per inning, which is solid for a reliever. It's nothing special. He got to the Cubs, and clearly whatever they saw in him with the Dodgers that they really liked and wanted to work with him on worked because he started striking out like 12 guys per 9 innings. That's a huge jump, especially for a 30-year-old reliever. So I think that this, again, Is he going to be a huge contributor in 2025? Probably not. And honestly, probably hopefully not, because again, the Cubs made a lot of moves in the bullpen that we're hoping will be very effective. But again, this is a guy who the Cubs have been effective with in the past. And I think that signing him back and just having him as depth, look, we learned it last year. Pitching injuries happen a lot. Having more depth is never a bad thing.